Hey there, Foxy Gamers! Welcome back to the Stardew Valley min-max run. Oh, we've got a cat here today. We're going to name it Bones, because our name is Morticia. And that's fitting, so we'll call it Bones. And honestly, if you want to be a hard ass, you can choose to not adopt a pet, because I've found that in these min-max runs, the animals will actually get in the way. Sometimes it's really annoying, but I'm gonna adopt a cat this time because I know I'll be called heartless, and I can't deal with that right now, guys, in these times. Alright, while I'm watering our plants today, I would like to clarify a few things from my last video. And for one thing, yes, it is true, I totally forgot to plant my green bean. So alas, we're not going to get the spring seeds for our community center bundle, which is a huge shame, but well, we just have to deal with it now. And I did lose a parsnip to those weeds there, so be sure to harvest your weeds back, as was pointed out to me in my last video. So there goes another bit of money or food for me. So I wanted to point out a few things about fishing. Bob Newkirk brought up some really good points in my last video, and I wanted to clarify some things. First of all, the places that I go to in the forest lake and the mountain lake, those are not places you have to go to. Those are the places that I like to go to because of reasons like where I can put a chest comfortably, or I don't like going to certain places because the fishing minigame will pop up in a different weird place on the screen, and that really kind of messes me up. And so I don't like to go to the edge of the map because that'll change where my minigame shows up. But if you can handle that, that's totally fine. But the important thing to note of the fishing spots is that you need to be able to land your cast as far away from any shore as possible to get the best fish. The specific spots that I go to, you're welcome to go to those spots, but there's nothing particularly special about those spots. So I hope it didn't come across that way, but if it did, I apologize, and I just wanted to make that clear. Also, as Bob pointed out, bubbles are a very important thing. If you see any bubbles in your water, and you don't have to go very far to reach the bubbles, you should definitely fish there, because that will allow you to catch a lot more fish very frequently. But you don't know how long those bubbles are going to last, so I tend to not go super far out of my way to get to the bubbles. And if they're right next to the shore and I have a high level of fishing, I also won't generally bother doing those, because even though you'll catch more fish, you're not going to catch as high quality of fish. Alright, so today is all about going to the mines. Let's see here. Ooh, I can also make a package of seeds to sell, so we'll go ahead and do that. That sells for quite a bit. Although I'm a big dum-dum and realized that I should have hung on to that daffodil to turn into the community center, but whatever. Alright, we're just gonna dump that there for now. No turning back. We'll find another daffodil before too long. Collect my money here. Alright, all that stuff. Good deal. And let's see. I definitely want to bring some food with me to the mines. I also need to get enough wood for a chest, so I'm gonna chop that down real quick before we head over to the mines. I probably should have done this the day before in hindsight to save time and energy for today going down into the mines, but you know, I've already messed up like a million times on this playthrough, so that just means you're gonna do a better job than me. Don't forget to make sure to plant any acorn seeds you have so that they can start growing into trees. You can also plant them in the area next to your farm, and because there isn't anyone that walks there. Oh, look, we've got ourselves a daffodil, so I'll be able to turn that into the community center when the time comes. When you enter the community center cutscene, I recommend actually going through the entire cutscene, so that way you will end up outside the community center and you can just walk in right there and click on the little bundle so that it will trigger the next part of your quest. If you skip the cinematic, you're going to end up far away from the community center, and you're going to lose time by having to run up there and get to the community center to trigger the next part. It's not a huge deal, but it will save you a little bit of time in your day. Obviously, like, real time, it is actually longer, but game-wise, it's quicker to do it this way. Alright, so to the mines we go, and you can skip through the cinematic with Marlin if you want to. It's nothing special there. So as always, like I've said before, make sure you eat your cheapo food first, like your green algae, and then you want to focus on your higher quality food, except I'm not going to eat my gold parsnip. I probably should have left that in my bin back on the farm because I forgot that we want to have 5 gold parsnips put in the community center for a quality crop. So try to hang on to your gold parsnips if you can. But I'm gonna go down in the mines with quite a bit of food for now. I might run out of inventory space and regret this later, but we'll see. Oh, I can actually eat some green algae right now, so I don't even have to, like, waste my space right now for that. And maybe this parsnip, let's see, 175. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that too. Yeah, there we go. So now I can, let's see, do I want my parsnips or my chubs? We're going to take our parsnips. I think that's a better idea for now. So yeah, the goal of the mines is basically to just get down as far as possible. Right now, when you have like the crappy axe, try to steer clear of these white rocks here, because you can see if I tap it, it takes 2 hits with a regular axe to pop those, so it's going to take you longer and more energy and all that. But once you upgrade your pickaxe, those are actually the better ones to hit, because then they only take 1 hit. So the goal today is to try and get down as far as you can, but primarily we want to get at least 45 copper so that we can make ourselves a furnace and get 5 copper bars to upgrade our pickaxe. Now generally you're not going to want to kill enemies. Right now I'm doing this because I wanted to access the copper, but basically, even though I've said in my guide in the past, like, yes, it's true that you will actually increase your chances of unlocking stairs by killing enemies, the only reason you really want to kill enemies is if they're, like, in your way to get to something else. Oh my gosh, we're already out of space here. It's not worth killing them for the sake of killing them. I do like to pick up bug meat whenever I can because we can turn that into bait, save some money from having to go down to Willy, so that's good news too. Oh my gosh, I got lucky with the copper here on this level. That is probably the luckiest I've ever gotten on my first day in the mines. I don't even know what the luck was today. Ooh, how do I decide here? Let's see. Can I eat my chubs yet? 128. Yeah. I really want that carrot because it's free food. I don't care about the wood so much. There we go. We're gonna wait to eat that though because I am full up now. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up while I interject a few tips and tricks here that I think of as I go. Definitely every 5 levels early on in my mines, I like to go up the elevator to drop off things in my chest. Once we reach, I think it's level 2 mining, we'll be able to make the stairs recipe, and I always like to carry enough stone on me to make at least 1 or 2 staircases in case I get somewhere that it's like an infested level or something like that, because that's a huge pain in the butt to deal with. But we won't be able to do that till at least tomorrow. If you go down the elevator and it ends up being like a really bad level, if there's a lot of monsters or you're looking for specific ores and there's nothing there, you can always pop back up and reset it and go back down again, but it might not be worth the time. It kind of depends, because you could just keep resetting it and keep getting less than ideal levels. The main reason I'm trying to not kill enemies this early on is just that with our crappy sword, it takes so long to kill anything. So if there's a level where there's just like one monster or it's a really small level, then it might be a good idea to go after the monsters to increase your staircase chance. But if there's a whole bunch of levels, it's going to take you a long time to kill them, and it might just be faster to pop all the rocks on the level. But that's kind of your discretion. Sometimes, like happened to me, I got in the middle of some slimes and I basically couldn't avoid them anymore. They were gonna start hurting pretty bad, so I ended up having to kill them. But if you can avoid them whenever possible, that's probably for the best. I'm actually really terrible at the mines in this game, both the regular mines and the Skull Cavern, so you're probably gonna have an easier time than me. If you do pop a staircase on a level, generally, it's good to go down it right away instead of even seeing what's on the rest of the level, but since our goal is to get a bunch of copper today, if you pop the staircase early on, like you probably saw me do, and there's a whole bunch of copper nodes around, it might be a good idea to go grab those nodes as long as they're not surrounded by monsters. Some people might argue that it's really important to get down to a certain level of the mines on your first day. I kind of disagree with that statement. I think the most important thing is for sure just getting the copper, and then however far down you manage to get is great, but I don't think I've ever really gotten past like level 15 or 20 on my first day in the mines, so I don't know how people actually manage to do that. Anytime you're on a level that has a coal spawn, you definitely want to go for that because we're going to be needing lots and lots of coal in the days to come. So you probably noticed that I skipped a staircase in the railroad track level because I knew that there was coal at the end of that level along with the staircase. If you don't have any money on you, you can pass out in the mines and you'll wake up the next day and everything will be fine. But since I made that mistake of carrying a bunch of cash with me to the mines, I have to leave in time to make it home at nighttime. So unfortunately, I did not make it down to level 15 today. It's really disappointing because I made it to 14, but then didn't find any staircases before I had to go home. So it is what it is. The good news is I got a ton of copper. I really don't know how I managed that. That's probably the most I've gotten in one day. So just make sure to bring back with you any copper, coal, and stone that you got so that you can make your furnace tomorrow and smelt some bars. And then I brought back the bug meat with me and anything I wanted to sell. You could push it and stay a little past midnight in the mines if you wanted to, but I'm actually really bad at timing everything for getting home before passing out, so I like to not cut it super close and head back home around midnight. I'm kind of undecided right now on whether it's better to crack open the geodes or sell them in general. I think you actually get more money back sometimes by selling the stuff that you find in the geodes than you end up like that you would get by just selling the geodes raw. But this early in the game, I'm not as concerned about that. I kind of just want cold hard cash right away. So I ended up selling my geodes. I also sold the quartz, even though we're going to need a lot of refined quartz for our sprinklers later. Between making a recycling machine and all the times we're going to spend down in the mines, again, I feel like the early amount of money is totally worth just selling the quartz raw. Day 6 is going to be all about harvesting crops and planting more crops. We're going to be buying lots of kale this time, and the reason I'm choosing kale instead of potatoes is since we're in it for the long game this time, kale is actually a slightly better return on pickling than potatoes are. It wouldn't be a bad idea though to plant a few potatoes if you intend on making Dish of the Sea later for fishing, because you'll need potatoes to make hash browns. I'm probably just going to buy some potatoes near the end of the season for that. For now, I'm gonna go with kale just because that'll be simpler. Don't forget to make your furnace and start smelting your copper bars. I probably should have done that before I was watering my plants because now I kind of wasted some time there. But since we're gonna be getting a bunch of kale, it's still okay. I can still spend some time hoeing and watering the patches that I'm planning on planting the kale in while we wait for our copper bars to smelt. Once you have your 5 copper bars ready to go, you can head into town, drop off your pickaxe at Clint's, and then we're gonna go to Pierre's after that. It doesn't matter whether you go to Pierre's or Clint's first, honestly, but I like to go to Clint's because I find too many times that if I go to Pierre's, I'm just gonna like spend all my money on seeds and totally forget that I needed to go to Clint for something. So I like to go to him first, along with checking the trash cans along the way. The other reason I'm choosing to pick kale at this point in the game instead of potatoes is because we won't have to water as much. It's true that potatoes are slightly more gold return than kales when selling the raw potatoes, but it takes so much more time to water the amount of potatoes that you have to buy to make up for the XP and gold. It takes longer, and so since we're in this for the long game, I chose to go with kale and plus my 1 green bean that I forgot to buy, because even though I'm not going to make it to even though I'm not going to be able to get the fertilizer by day 13, obviously I still want to be able to complete that bundle, so better late than never. But yeah, I'm basically missing out on 20 free strawberries by failing to do that earlier in the game. I don't recommend selling all of your parsnips right now. I think just buy as many seeds as you possibly can without selling anything aside from maybe some forageables, because it's not gonna be crazy necessary to plant like 200 things right now. In fact, having 119 kale seeds, I might actually be regretting that later. We'll find out. So the rest of the day is just spent planting and watering everything and seeing how much time you have left at the end. If you have a lot of time left, you can go fishing at the mountain lake again, or clear your farm, or whatever you choose to do. I actually made a pretty major mistake. I should have cleared all of the rocks around my area of my farm before going to turn in my pickaxe, because as you can see, I'm having to go around where all the rocks are right now, and that's a big no-no because it's going to really slow down my watering every day. So I'm not going to be able to get rid of those until I get my pickaxe back, and then it's going to drive me crazy because my crops are going to look extremely awful until that time. But as I stated earlier in the series, I am not restarting any days, and if I make mistakes, I make mistakes, and you guys can learn from my mistakes and do better than me and have a better run than me. So hopefully you can learn from this mistake. That is definitely something I knew to do from runs in the past, but I totally forgot because it's been quite some time now since I've done some min-max runs. Like I said though, it's not the end of the world, it's just kind of annoying. You can see in this episode how what I was talking about with the pets can get in the way, because as I'm trying to plant my kale down along the southern part of my plot, the cat gets in the way and it's kind of hard to make him move, much like a real cat. So like I said, if you want to be heartless, you can refuse to adopt a pet in order to make things a little easier for yourself. I did manage to have quite a bit of time left in the day, so heading back to the mountain lake is a good idea if that's the case for you, or if it's raining out, then well, you're lucky and you didn't have to water all your crops and you can go fish up some catfish, but I was not fortunate enough for that. I want to reiterate again that the spot that I choose to go fishing at on the mountain lake is a good spot. It's definitely a good spot, but it's not the only spot that you can fish. There are plenty of other good spaces around the area. It's just the spot that I prefer because, I don't know, because I'm weird. But there's not like one spot that you have to go to all the time. This is just like the security blanket of my fishing spots. If you manage to get a skill up in anything at all, today is another good day to fish until you pass out because you are likely not going to have any money after buying all of those seeds. One thing I did forget to do though is build a scarecrow. So if you have an opportunity to do that, you might want to do it. Hopefully we're not going to lose any crops to that, but I think it's worth fishing for an extra 2 hours rather than going back and making a scarecrow for the small chance that they're going to kill my crops overnight. If they do get any of my crops, it's probably just going to be one crop, and the amount of time that I'm spending fishing with the things that I'm going to catch is probably going to offset. And there's a good chance that the crows will not eat my crops tomorrow. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this episode of our min-max playthrough. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far and you're seeing it as something that's useful. Basically, the following episode is just going to be us doing lots of fishing, waiting for our pickaxe to be done, and then we'll be going back into the mines again for the foreseeable future. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone, and until next time, stay foxy.